Hello.
Hi, Sherry. How are you?
Great, Samantha. How are you?
Wonderful. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, I love your ILTA wear. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. I needed to have an ILTA plug in here somewhere.
Exactly. Well, Samantha, thank you so much for joining us today. You are a very integral part of a sort of mini series that we're hosting here on the Changing Normal channel of ILTA of Litera TV. It's volunteering week, and in this sort of season of gratitude, featuring all of the different ways that people within our specific community have contributed and continue to seek out opportunities to contribute. ILTA is a community of contributors, and so it's just such a treat to have you here and talk about volunteering as it relates to the community around the International Legal Technology Association. I thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. So happy to be here.
So Samantha, why don't you tell everyone just a little bit about yourself and your background? Where, by the way, are you broadcasting from today?
Thank you, Sherry. So I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina in USA right now. Just moved here in August from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So I am not missing that cold weather. I just received a picture from my family that there's a lot of snow. And yeah, it's beautiful here right now. Can't complain. So my background actually is in association management. My degree is in psychology, and I just really was interested in the nonprofit field. So I've worked for 5 different nonprofit associations, and I came to ILTA in November of 2018. So I just completed my 2-year anniversary with ILTA, and I can't believe how the time has flown by. And really what I do for ILTA is I oversee the membership operations for the organization. And then I also oversee the volunteer operations and kind of manage the programs, look at the volunteer opportunities, make recommendations for changes. And I also support a number of volunteer groups with ILTA.
Well, that is awesome because, you know, all of us out here, if you will, not within the ILTA staff, but out here, understand fully that there are so many inner workings of bringing a volunteer organization together. And so it's so exciting to meet a face of someone who's actually achieving that. And so I wondered, you mentioned your background. So tell us a little bit about maybe some of your experiences that you've had in the past, how you brought them into the ILTA organization, you know, just some of your, you know, educational background, those kinds of things would be great to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I said, you know, I worked for 4 other organizations before ILTA, ILTA being my 5th, and a lot of those organizations were focused on the medical profession. So volunteering was conducted in a little bit different of a manner. Similar to ILTA, they had committees, but really ILTA does a lot of on-the-ground work, which is incredible. But I did work for another legal organization, and a lot of the focus there was on diversity and inclusion. So the organization was the National Association of Minority and Women-Owned Law Firms, and much of their focus in the committee work that I performed for them was really finding opportunities for corporate legal to hire on and find the right fit of law firms to support their legal needs. So really, you know, I took a lot of that formal committee knowledge that I had gained in that experience and brought it onto ILTA. So a lot of things have changed with ILTA over the years. I know that ILTA had peer groups in the past, and it's gone through some restructuring the volunteer programs. And when I came on, I made a couple of recommendations for forming some governance focused committees that can really support rolling out of programs. Recently, we just completed a rollout of the industry participant program, and that was 100% supported and led by the membership task force, which was one of the recommendations I had made when I first came on board. So bringing that experience from other organizations to ILTA, typically you see in most nonprofits, there is a membership focus committee. So just kind of pulling that experience over to ILTA to kind of improve our processes and to really inform our initiatives.
That is so wonderful. There is just such a calling of the members to contribute and to make it easy to accomplish and easy to achieve is more than half the battle. And I just want to applaud how much we witness here in terms of those improvements. So if we could go maybe just a level up on the whole topic of volunteering, Sam, I thought we might chat a bit about just this time and this moment. And, I'm curious what your thoughts are about this sort of renewed sense of, calls to action, of volunteering, of helping others, of contributing to a community, of building a community. And, what's your personal sense about why that is happening, or why this is just such an important moment in that whole experience of volunteering?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, as everyone's experiencing across the globe, 2020 has been a year none of us were prepared for. It's really rocked a lot of people's worlds, and a lot of people are in need right now. There's a lot to be grateful for those of us that still have our jobs, our health, our loved ones, and support systems. And with volunteering, we're seeing a renewed excitement to give back. And really, I want to pull out the word contribute, because I know you use that a lot. And to me, volunteering is all about contributing and connection and community. And with the changes in the world right now, people that might not have a job anymore, they're looking to give back and contribute their time and their knowledge and expertise. And those that do have, employment right now, they're also looking to contribute. They really, they feel that need in the community, and they're looking to fill the gap for that. So it's incredible what we've seen in the ILTA community. A lot of our volunteer roles, about 100 individual volunteers, are local member liaisons. And, we've seen a huge shift in their focus of bringing community together in their local areas, because they can't do that anymore. So ILTA's really pivoted, and the volunteers, I applaud the volunteers for their incredible ability to pivot, and their agility and their role to still maintain that connection within the community, and to bring people together across cities, across regions, to really connect and talk about what's happening in the legal community, just to talk about what's happening in their lives. So I think that, and so they've really pivoted from being local member liaisons to being virtual member liaisons, and continuing to bring those members together and to have those meaningful connections and conversations, and to further build upon that community feel. So what I've seen with 2020 and what it's brought is just more of a desire for people to contribute, give back, and to really come together as a community, and to provide those meaningful connections where perhaps they're not getting them anymore in person.
And I think that there is something that I've seen, which is the absence, I don't want to say of distractions or obstacles, but there's the absence of all the things that never really mattered in the first place. Does that make sense? So it allows the actual contribution to be so completely condensed, and so completely without any dilution or, like I say, distraction. So I would imagine for those regional liaisons, they're probably grateful that they're not necessarily setting up the buffet and hearing the comments about why didn't we have salad instead. um, all of those things that, yes, they create a community once you're in a room, but virtually it's completely insignificant. And so what happens is you've got such a focus on the content, you've got such a focus on the connection, you've got such a focus on the people. And Sam, we didn't talk about this, but I wanted to, as you were sharing about, how the volunteer roles have pivoted and so forth within the ILTA community, I'm hearkening back to ILTA On. And one of the underlying realizations, I think, for everyone was that this was a moment where we all needed to either reskill or skill others or build more skills just generally and common skills. And so I am thinking of day one of ILTA On, where ILTA made a huge contribution to the community by having an entire day that was free to anyone who was a business partner, an ILTA member, and some of the business partners, some of the firms, these are hundreds of people, thousands of people. And I wondered if you might talk a little bit about either what the feedback of that was, how that might have come about, and how that, again, call to action, call to changing of the conversation might have been one of those really crucial pivots in this whole thing. What's your thought about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you highlighted that, because that, again, pivot, that group, that conference committee really pivoted. They planned the event to be in person, and there was a very there was a time crunch for them to shift and pivot to planning it to be virtual. So like you said, they had to upskill, they had to reimagine what will the interactions be like, how can we foster that engagement in a virtual environment, and they knocked it out of the park. We've received amazing feedback from participants of the program. A lot of people, we had an incredible number of people participate on day one for that free professional development day that you just talked about. Just incredible work by the volunteers. For those that are not familiar with ILTA, we are truly peer powered. All of our programming is guided, led, organized by volunteers. So to put together a week-long conference that was supposed to be in person, and just in a short couple of months to pivot to a virtual platform that the ILTA team, with the help of volunteers, built, it's just incredible, the power of volunteering, and what that might look like. And if you look at what ILTA produces, that is all of the power of volunteering coming together. And I'm not sure if you saw, Sherry, recently, but we were awarded by Higher Logic, which is a community platform, for having the best use of an event platform, using their platform to create ILTA On. So and that is all through the volunteer and staff collaboration. So it's just incredible what the ILTACon committee did for ILTA and ILTA On. And I do want to add a plug that we're currently looking for ILTACon committee session coordinators. So that's an open volunteer opportunity for anyone in the member or business partner community looking to volunteer and contribute to ILTA.
Okay, so there's another pivot we have to feature. As a business partner who often is confused as being someone who works at a firm, I will never forget being at our vendor booth back when we were called vendors at the exhibit hall in one ILTA. This is like 10 years ago, 11 years ago. And I will never forget George Rudoy, who was at Sherman and Sterling at the time. And he comes up to me and said, "Sherry, when did you go to the dark side? When did you go to work for a vendor?" And I said, well, George, I've always worked for a vendor. And he was just speechless. And then he says, you know, you must be one of the good ones then, because I always thought you worked at a firm. I felt like such a member then. And the only reason why I raised this point is because the distinction between the vendor and the member was clearly with a line. And that in many ways has completely been erased, in that there are now ways that business partners can volunteer. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that? Because I feel like members and business partners alike will benefit from this shift. And so I am eager to hear more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up. So we have a guiding theme here at ILTA, no second class citizens. And we've really been honing in on how we can integrate that through everything that we do, including volunteering. So over the last year, we've offered a number of volunteer opportunities that have opened up to business partner involvement. So some examples include the Diversity and Inclusion Task Force, which we have an application process open right now, ends tomorrow. So if there's any business partners in the community interested in applying, please check out our website. But that's one of the areas that we focused on. A lot of our task forces, so that membership task force I had mentioned before, we had a successful cycle with business partners participating on that with members hand in hand, determining, you know, the future of the industry participant program with ILTA. We recently just opened up our conference committees to business partners. So really focusing again on that theme, no second class citizens, because like you said, they can benefit. Members and business partners alike can benefit from one another's shared knowledge and expertise and thought leadership. So ILTA is really embracing that no second class citizens by integrating business partners throughout the volunteer opportunities. So we are looking at other volunteer groups that we can continue to do that with. But for now, we've opened up, I want to say, at least 5 or so committees where we're really trying to integrate both members and business partners.
So Samantha, to that end, I am reminded of a number of years ago, I took a graduate program at Northwestern. And one of the things that I remember vividly about, think of it as the information session, the one that we all went to say, yeah, we really want to go back to school. And they talked about, you have all these amazing professors, you have all this content that they're going to give you and you're going to get to consume. But they emphasize that in complete and utter balance to the fact that your classmates who had 10 years of, various industry experience were going to be as much teachers and building your knowledge and building your network, maybe even more so than the professors would. And this same thing, I believe, holds true with ILTA volunteering. And so why would somebody get involved in being a volunteer at ILTA? What are their benefits? What are their, what's in it for them to volunteer? Because at first glance, it's always, wow, I have to do all this work. But there's so much more to it. And I'm just curious if you could share with us what some of those benefits are.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we ask our volunteers, what do you get from ILTA volunteering? A lot of times we hear back connection, community, meaningful connections. So expanding your network beyond what you would typically have. So we connect folks from different organizations across the globe with people who are doing similar things as them, and operating in similar roles within their own organizations. And a lot of times operating in very different roles where they can learn a little bit more about their own colleagues within their own organization organizations from these peers on these volunteer groups, and kind of come back to their own organization and have some aha moments of how to collaborate in a more effective way with their own colleagues within their organizations. We also hear a lot of that sharing of knowledge and expertise. So they might have that connection built up from working with somebody on a committee, and feel the comfort to be able to reach out and ask them and let them know, I'm struggling with a challenge right now in my organization. How have you handled this before? So really sharing that knowledge with one another, or they might connect with a business partner they've served on a committee with before, and ask, what are you seeing across the clients that you're serving? How have they handled this before? So really just having that meaningful connection, it's just a theme that we see throughout ILTA, and it just stands out for ILTA compared to any other organization I've seen, because some of these individuals that I've worked with have had these relationships and friendships for decades, and they've just carried on. And it's because of those initial connections that they made within these volunteer opportunities, or meeting at these conferences that volunteers have organized, and just feeling a sense of community. So I would say that, what's in it for people is to, feel a connection, meaningful connection, feel a sense of community, and to really feel that positive reward of contributing. So there's a lot of research right now that says, when you help others, you actually are benefiting and your happiness goes up. So being able to share that knowledge and expertise. And then two other points I want to make as well about what's in it for the volunteer is opportunities to experiment. Maybe the volunteer group is focused on something that you've always wanted to try out, but in your current role at your organization, you just don't have that opportunity available. So really giving you that safe space to experiment with new skills, to grow your skills, and to get some professional development. So within all of ILTA volunteer opportunities, we make sure to call out the professional development opportunities and skills that the volunteers can expect to receive by participating in that opportunity. So that could range from, improved communication to a more effective collaboration, meeting planning, leadership development. So really getting that professional development, again, those opportunities that you may not get elsewhere.
As you were speaking about that, in my mind's eye was Judy Flournoy when she accepted the Lifetime Achievement Award. And one of the things that she spoke about was how she as a professional, became that, enriched by that due to her involvement in ILTA. And that experimentation is so crucial, because it's not so much that your firm, isn't going to ultimately achieve something new or achieve leveraging a technology or even a process. What it is very often it's just the timing is off. and so in an ILTA situation, you may not have those kinds of cadences to kind of obstruct what it is you're trying to learn. And can learn it alongside others. And that sense of discovery is really irresistible, if I might say. I'm also reminded of another one of the sessions at ILTA where the community, just the chat, the very rich chat, and the water cooler conversations, virtual ones, you just got. You got so much opportunity, so much more opportunity to meet people and connect. I also wanted to ask you personally, Samantha, so outside of ILTA, what might be some of your, volunteering causes that you, either causes or activities that have really enriched you leading up to your role in ILTA?
Yeah, so I think back on one of my my favorite volunteer opportunities was serving for the Literacy Learning Center in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So I served as an education tutor, and it was just such a enriching experience to work with people who were so motivated and excited to learn. So a lot of these individuals were from underserved communities, minority groups, areas where English wasn't their first language, or simply had life challenges get in the way for them to not get their high school diplomas. So a lot of them were focused on getting their GEDs and really working one-to-one with people who are excited to learn and grow, was just so valuable and meaningful to me, because really education is such a foundation for opportunities in the future for yourself, and to really, grow your future forward. So it was such a valuable experience for me. And I think I bring a little bit of that understanding of what volunteering really provides to the volunteer. I felt so enriched by the opportunity while I was giving my time and helping someone through my own knowledge. I really felt like I benefited more than the individual. I could see how grateful they were, and that really created like a warm feeling inside, and an excitement to continue to help in volunteering. And really my career has really focused in on expanding volunteer opportunities, supporting them. And it's just such a pleasure because people come so excited and willing to dedicate their time and to make those meaningful connections. So I've tried to continue on with volunteering. I'm actually in my master's program for organization development at Queen's University in Charlotte. And part of that program is really focused on and emphasizes commitment to community. So our professors encourage us to go out there and to volunteer our time. And part of the program is volunteering our time to consult with organizations to help improve their processes. So right now I actually am volunteering my time with 3 different organizations outside of ILTA, where I help them with their organization processes. And one of them I'm actually really excited about is 100% focused on expanding that staff capacity through improving their volunteer programming. So, volunteering is just so incredibly important. There are individuals in need, there are organizations in need, and whether or not you think you have something to offer, you really do. Everybody has something to offer, whether that be their time, their knowledge and expertise, or donating through financial means, or donating resources.
It's just such a big and great topic. And I was sharing in the first episode, you might have heard, one of the volunteering things I did was to quote unquote give my daughter to the U.S. Peace Corps volunteering effort, and that was we became volunteers because she was, right. And you look at organizations like the Peace Corps with a mission, and you look at the literacy program that you were involved in and its mission, just making good in the world. So what would you share with our audience about volunteering at ILTA and what good it will bring to the world in addition to themselves?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I would say, look at our website, check out our volunteer page. We have a Get Involved volunteer page, iltanet.org, Get Involved Volunteering. Check that out. We regularly have open committee positions for you to apply to. We also really embrace volunteering so much that we have a separate volunteer profile for each individual. So individuals have an opportunity when they create an account to set it up almost like their LinkedIn profile, to just share their career experience and background. But then there's also a separate volunteer profile where you can specify your volunteer interests, your knowledge and expertise, and how much time you really want to be able to commit to volunteering. So I just encourage everyone, if you don't yet have an ILTA profile, create one. If your organization's a member, your access is free through them because our membership is entity based. So you can create your profile and you can fill out your volunteer profile. And we frequently use those volunteer profiles to reach out to folks to see if they're interested in speaking or authoring or joining a committee. So really, don't be shy. Check out our volunteer opportunities and fill out your volunteer profile, and consider contributing to the organization, because really the organization is its lifeblood is through our volunteers. Our volunteers help us create our education events and all of the publications that we put out there. So you'll be doing a lot of good for the legal technology industry and expanding the knowledge in the field as well. And in return, you'll have opportunities to grow and expand your professional development and just feel good about contributing.
Well, Samantha, thank you so much. And thank you for all the contributions of ILTA. We look forward to looking through that list. You have a wonderful and happy Thanksgiving in Charlotte. Without the snow.
Thank you so much, Sherry. Lovely joining you today, and I appreciate the opportunity. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.